You guys. So I'm Lindsay Benton, and I'm the broker owner here at Live.Laugh.Denver Real Estate Group. I bought my first place when I was 22. So I was behind you guys. And I bought it here. And I like to joke that
here in Denver, not like
here in Denver, this is not the first purchase, correct? Because it wasn't here yet. Yeah, this was built in 2008. We bought it in 2019. But a girlfriend of mine, I hadn't even really thought of it, but one of my friends was like, I'm buying a condo and I was like, okay, cool. We have the same job. I'll buy one too. The difference was she had a trust fund. I didn't even know what it was until I moved here. And so I did it with an FHA loan and I had a bonus and I went and I turned it into a cashier's check and I bought myself a condo in 5 Points. I still own it. And then have since added to it and am at 7 doors, including what you're sitting in. So we bought this live work townhome to house the office, which has been an amazing asset for our brokerage. And then we're building in the mountains right now. And that's why I'm on a break from buying things, because things have gotten real expensive and interest rates have gone up. I don't know if anyone heard. So I'm like, let's just get everything settled in Silverthorne and then I'll go shopping again. See how that goes. So I had not been, my parents always owned their home. So home ownership was very normalized for me, but they weren't real estate investors. I'm from a small town. Not a lot was happening as far as appreciation. That was just not, they were traditional retirement types. And so that was never really part of it. And so I bought my first home and I had a passion for real estate, but I was also like, I don't really want to do real estate. It's like a lot of work and I'm 22 and I'd rather not work that much. And I was in sales and all that, but I actually started into real estate 10 years ago. So once I turned 30, I decided I should grow up a little bit and, really get to it. And then it was, like Amy said, you get one and you get the other and it just keeps getting easier, somewhat simpler to keep adding to it once you've started. So my passion's about educating. So we do these classes. So welcome. We had 30 RSVPs, 32, I think. So we'll have people online. We have you guys in person. You never know who's going to show up. Weather always has a play. It's like, if it's too nice, people don't come because they want to go to something else. And if it's too shitty, people don't come because they don't want to go. So anyways, excited to educate. We're education first here. And yeah, we'll get started. So I think the biggest thing I saw when we talked about when people were educating around investing is that they would get really granular around numbers. And I think that ultimately there's a reason to back up and really look at what your journey could look like, because everyone's will look different, especially when you're an investor next door, previously known as like a mom and pop investor, but an investor next door that's kind of paving your own path, you're self-funded, you're leveraging existing assets, that type of thing. So I put together a presentation on the who, what, where, when, why type of approach to real estate investing. There's no way, like, this doesn't ever go away. How do I make this go away? How?
You click on the more.
There we go. Thank you. Hide. Thank you. Look at you. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm always on Zoom going, how do I do this? And then I'm like, I don't think, yeah. So anyways, why invest in real estate? Just some general facts here. 90% of millionaires and billionaires created their wealth through real estate, at least partially. It's just a fast way to see appreciation of your dollars. And then because life is about living for today while planning for tomorrow, I have found real estate to be a great way to let your money work for you while you're also still working. I think if the pandemic taught us anything is like, you never know what's going to happen in life and you never know how long life's going to be. So as much as we can do today to plan for long-term wealth and create some future assets, but then also be able to live life and not just squirrel away savings is that's where I found real estate offers a happy medium. The 4 pillars of real estate investing and wealth generation. So I'll talk about this a little more in the next slide, but this is what's been used forever. The United States was built on owning land, right? When we look at the wealth gap that exists between gender as well as race, it's because of who owned land, right? So the majority of land ownership was white people, right? And so these are all things that have been leveraged since day one. This is a system that our country has been built on. And so my education is about making sure everyone knows about these opportunities, not just the select few that maybe have the trust funds or have the generational wealth. Appreciation, I did a home ownership class over lunch today and talked a lot about the appreciation. The big thing there is that you're seeing the increase in value over time, and it's on the full asset. So unlike when you're investing in stock market, you take $50,000, you put it in, you get the appreciation on the $50,000. In this case, you take the $50,000, you put it towards a $300,000 purchase, and you're getting the appreciation on the full $300,000. Nationwide appreciation since it's been tracked in 1891 was 3.2%. In Denver, it was 18 last year, depending upon which metro counties you poll. But it's been double digits for 8 years now. So we're going to continue to see that. We'll see what happens with interest rates. Obviously, that will affect it. But the big thing, again, is that it is a tried and true appreciation rate. And so as long as you can hold on to it, you know, you only lose money if you sell low. And I should probably teach people that about stocks too. But I don't invest in those. So cash flow is the rent minus expenses, and it's all expenses. So you're able to write that off. That has a tax savings to it too, which we'll talk about in the fourth pillar. The cash flow, for me personally, cash flow at this time in my life isn't a priority. So we're able to leverage depreciation and all of that with a tax savings piece, because cash flow is not what I need for my rentals now. I have a job, a couple of them actually, you know, running the brokerage, serving clients, all the things. But a lot of people go into it with that strategy of having the cash flow and creating an income for themselves. And so it kind of depends on what your priorities are there. Equity, as you're buying more, as you're paying down the mortgage, you're getting more equity in the home. And with a rental, obviously the tenants are paying that down for you. And then you can leverage that equity to buy more properties through home equity lines of credit or cash out refinances. There's options to use that equity. And that is how I have built our rental portfolio, is leveraging the other properties to buy all of them. And then the tax savings, obviously call it professionals, caps locks for a reason. Always use an accountant, especially once you start having rental properties, but you get great deductions as an investor, and then you get to depreciate the value of the home over 27.5 years. If you sell, you may have to recapture. Again, talk to an accountant about that. But as an independent contractor and business owner, the depreciation really helps me every year during tax time. So it is a huge piece that millionaires have been using for a long time, is that depreciation piece. Chew on this. The absolute best way to combat inflation is by locking in a fixed price, which is your mortgage, right? The fixed rate mortgage on an appreciating asset, real estate. So we talked about this a little bit in my noon class. Things we don't want to spend a lot of money on is like cars and shoes. Shoes are always my fun example. What we do want to spend a lot of money on is real estate. And so that, because cars and shoes, right? Shoes are a funny example of depreciation, but cars in theory depreciate when they come off the lot. We're in a weird spot right now where we're seeing some appreciation in cars, but that'll fall off again once they get caught up with chips. Metaverse. And why? As inflation goes up and values rise, the loan to value percentage will decrease and it'll send your equity up. So you're going to always be on the upside there. And then for me, as I think about rental rates increasing at the same rate that my cost of living is going to increase, I can look now and say, for retirement, I need X amount of dollars in today's dollar, and inflation will mirror that, right? They will mirror the rental increases as my cost of living goes up. And so you can use today's dollar to plan for tomorrow, because people are going to be paying those appreciating rental rates as well, increasing rental rates as well. Who should invest in real estate? It's you. I think I'm a little different than a lot of real estate investors in that I don't actually want to just buy as many as possible. I'm really strategic about like, I need to get what I need, and then let's leave the rest for others, right? Hoarding in real estate is a thing. And the pass down piece has allowed for that to continue to be a thing, because it's a step up pass down. So if I own $5 million worth of real estate, and by the time I die, it's worth 10 million and my son inherits it, he gets to inherit it based at that 10 million point. So he's never having to pay on that 5 million appreciation. And that again is how the multi-generational wealth has been happening all these years. There's talks about changing that. I don't think it'll affect the investors next door as much as it would maybe affect the like mega million and mega billionaires. But that's a huge piece of it. And so as you're doing that, you're building that for your kids. My son's 4.5. He'll never know anything except for that he mows the lawns. Like, he does not get to know it. But it is a way to set up success for him. And, you don't have to worry as much about college or, those kinds of things, because you can leverage your equity to make those things happen. 96% of Americans are not in a place to retire on their assets. That's tough. And it's just getting more and more expensive to live. And we're living longer on average, which is great. I think 80 is kind of a sweet spot personally, but no, I think that's something important to take into account. And when you own rentals, it's going to keep paying you, whereas your retirement funds will eventually run out, right? So that's the benefit there. And then, damn it, because we can. As a woman, I cannot not, acknowledge that we couldn't even get our own loans until the 70s. That was not that long ago. And I took that for granted. When I was 21, applying for my loan and closing at 22, I didn't even think about that. My frontal lobe had not even fully developed yet. But people have fought hard for us to have access to these kinds of things. And so I think it's important that we exercise that. And it's all the more reason that me and the industry wants to educate around it. And discrimination still does occur. It's something that we should acknowledge, but it's not something we should be deterred by, but instead should fight for. When you see the amount of wealth held, right, it's 80%, 86% of wealth is held by white people. And then you look to where the home ownership rates are, right? You can see that correlation. It's a causation, right? And then additionally, white wealth is more diversified, whereas non-white wealth is mostly in pensions, which are becoming less and less common, and then in real estate. So that is a big piece of what we're doing here at Live, Laugh, Invest, and with the Wire, is making sure that everyone knows they have a right to own a home and invest in real estate, and helping navigate the way to do that. Empower all, like I said, to create financial freedom through investing in real estate. And a bunch of that comes from providing the customized investment plans. You mentioned DFW, you're in from New York. I actually just reached out before coming out here to an agent in Arkansas, because I have a client who's looking down there right now. It's important to know, no two stories are the same. So we actually do a monthly Zoom interview with a real real estate investor next door. So someone who has, multiple doors, but they've done it on their own and kind of they've developed their own path. Last month we interviewed Lucas, who's a client of ours. He went from 1 home to 9 in 2 years. He has a business partner with him on it, his best friend. Him and his wife have moved 4 times. She's a saint. One of them was a live workspace that he put his office in. Anyways, it's a great one. We'll make sure it's included in the follow-up from this. And then next month, I'm actually interviewing Amy. And so we'll talk about her path from educating to then diving in herself, and then what that experience has been like: mountain property, primary home, straight up rental home, and her own path with it. The biggest thing we're doing with that is, let's look at some relatability, right? Let's look at someone whose story could look like mine, or my story could look like theirs, right? And so that's been a fun series. Core values. So with Live, Laugh, Invest, there's a lot of people who work in the investor space, and I'm not, I'm not the money hungry, let's collect as many doors as possible mentality. And so I didn't know if it was really a space I would want to get into when I first started the brokerage in 2015. And ultimately I was like, nope, I need to, because the rest of us need the same access, right? So the big thing with us is integrity is everything. So we're going to always be super honest, transparent, make sure everyone knows what's happening every step of the way. One size does not fit all. Like I said, everyone's on their own journey. And then we hold ourselves to a high level as landlords. I think that one of the grossest things is people who are bad landlords. Everyone deserves to feel safe and healthy in their own homes. And I look forward to Denver raising the stakes on what that looks like, and Colorado in general. Let's have respect for everyone, right? And so that's definitely something that, we talk about with rental rates, and we talk about making sure that you're building that kind of cushion in there to make sure that, if the washer and dryer goes out and they're entitled to a washer and dryer, you can do that in a reasonable time frame. More importantly, if the heat goes out, you have the money to call someone out overnight if it's below freezing, right? So those are things that we really emphasize when we help and empower clients to set up rental properties. What and where are your investing options? This is where I like to remind everyone, and we have such a different variety of investing and real estate experience in the room, but is that there's all the options. So if you're just getting started, you can buy a home and rent out the rooms, right? That's house hacking. You can buy a multifamily home and live in one of the units while renting out the others. That's what, like, if I had it to do all over again, that's what I would do. I would not even care the location of it. I'd get myself a fourplex. I'd live there until my circumstances changed and I need to move somewhere else. You could buy an investment home first. I have clients who they want to live that like downtown luxury apartment lifestyle. They don't necessarily want to pay the $1 million for a 1.5 bedroom at the Coloradan. And so they rent and they invested in a property elsewhere. And that's how they are, able to ride the appreciation that's happening. If you own your home already, obviously enjoy your options. Once you own your home, you can sell it. You don't have to pay any taxes on capital gains, up to $250 as an individual, $500 as a married couple. And so that's a huge way for you to leverage the wealth. You can split that up. You can keep yours and buy different. You can upgrade into, I have a client who sold her home, and she's taking some of the proceeds to buy her new primary home, and she's taking the other to buy a condo in the mountains. And she was able to do that because she took a chance and bought a house that wasn't perfect sooner than she probably, needed to. And she was able to watch the appreciation happen and take the equity from that and turn it into those two things. Buying a rental, obviously the mountains, we're going to talk a little bit about location options. But yeah, it really comes down to what your goals are. So you can move your equity, you can pull the cash out from an existing property you have, or you can sell and move the equity via 1031 exchange. I just actually completed my first one on my own. I hadn't sold before, but we sold a single family home and turned it into a fourplex because that's what made sense for us to diversify our portfolio a little bit. And a 1031 exchange is, again, another tax shield that I think will stay in place for those that are making under, it'll be 430,000 in 2022 is what I'm expecting. That's what the proposed tax plan is now. And that's a huge way to move it around. And ultimately that single family home, like I said to my husband, who's also my investing partner, like, I just feel like this home deserves an owner occupant. Like, it was an old Victorian, like, she is old. And like, we renovated her, we redid the sewer, we did a new roof. Like, she had been like, I fixed her up and sold her at a premium, of course, but I was like, she deserves an owner occupant. Let's go buy some homes buy a fourplex. It's just going to always be a rental property anyways. Right. And so it's, the different use of properties. Obviously you can take that money and head to the mountains. We're going to talk a little bit about loan options. You can invest in a second home. Like we talked about, you can go to the mountains, you can go international. I've not invested at all in internationally. I can't even go outside Colorado. I have like control issues, I think, slash comfortability. Right. So I tend to just like places I can see. When I talked about selling the single family and going to a fourplex was the first time I left the zip code of 80205 with my investments. Like, I've always been right here. One of the things I like to talk about with the investing in a second home is you can leverage short-term rentals. Obviously, every county, every city, state, country has their own rules on short-term rentals. Short-term is defined as anything under 30 days. Mid-term would be anything 30 days to 6 months. And then long-term is anything over 6 months. Obviously, we all know the Airbnb life, right? Remember VRBO was actually first. Do you guys remember that? You don't. You weren't born. This was in like 05. Like, literally, when I first moved here, we used VRBO all the time to rent in the mountains. And now they call it Vrbo. Mm-hmm. They like snuck in a rebrand on the Kardashians. I was blown away. I was like, how did this happen? And like, literally Courtney was like, oh yeah, we're going to use Vrbo. And I was like, did she say Vrbo? Are we doing this? Anyways, the like nightly rental idea. And we'll see Breckenridge just legislated against it. For the city of Breckenridge, their city council did, with intentions to create more rental opportunities for locals. That never works. It doesn't work because short-term is under 30 days. So now people are doing monthly rentals. Locals are still priced out because they're not they're not getting paid what they need to, right? So anyways, I mean, you know, as a liberal person, I'm also like, let's not overgovern things. However, I think that, you know, ultimately the people will speak on those things. And as long as people would rather have the option to rent someone else's home for a vacation, we'll continue to see these regulations and these opportunities always be changing. It's a really great opportunity in Denver if you are someone who's not a control freak and you would allow people to stay in your home. Like when you travel, I have friends that do that. They travel for work, they rent out their house during the week, their mortgage is paid for and then some, right? So they're living for free, allows them to save, buy the next property. So in Denver County specifically, it has to be your primary residence. Primary residence is defined as you live there. It's your permanent address, 6 months and a day each year.
In Denver, that's the only way you could do short-term rentals if it's your primary.
Correct. And they've really cracked down on it. Yeah. People got arrested. It was crazy because they like lied. Yeah. They like signed affidavits saying like, yeah, no, it's my primary residence to the city. And it wasn't. They were in real estate.
That's bad.
I know. We were short-term renting a home. If we want to hear that story. So we were short-term renting the one I was telling you we sold over here. I keep pointing to it. It was on Marion and 31st. But because we were living in a small home, we had just had the baby, who's 5. But and we wanted a place for family and friends to come to stay when they visited. So I was like, oh, we'll have a guest house like a mile and a half away. It's actually brilliant because then they're not like all up on your stuff. But then we got served with the like, you guys are doing a short-term rental. It's not your primary residence. I was like, okay, cool. But it is. And they're like, will you sign the, but it like kind of is. And they're like, but will you sign the affidavit? I was like, well, obviously not. Right. This other couple was like, sure, we'll sign it. And they got felony charges.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause it's yeah, lying. It's an affidavit.
It's not like you're going to get out of that. You're going to get hit with it.
No, they got arrested and made the news.
It was really embarrassing, but they still, no, nothing gets your license taken away.
No, they still do.
Mhm.
They still,
Mhm.
so they're
Yep.
still active.
Yep. It was so funny. It was crazy to watch go down. But yeah, so everyone, I mean, Denver invested a ton in it. They hired retired police officers to deal with the door knocking. Like it was a whole thing. And the whole thing, why Denver? Why would you spend so much money on that? This is what people want. And Denver was like, because it's cutting into rentals, like rental opportunities for our residents. Most of those furnished rentals got turned into 30-day corporate rentals anyways. So it didn't really help, right?
When did this happen?
2017, 18. So not too long ago. Yeah. How about financing? When we talk about, like, especially when you're at the earlier side of your investing, like buying as an owner occupant, you get access to the best interest rates. You can put 3%, 3.5%, 5% down, 0% if you're a veteran. And you can do up to a 4 unit, the other units counting towards your debt to income ratio. And you must occupy within 60 days of closing, and you're signing at closing that you intend to occupy for at least a year. So the occupancy rates are advantageous for you to move. Like I mentioned, my client has moved around a bunch. It's because it's beneficial. You get better loans that way. And so that's a willingness to do that, right? A second home, you still get access to those great rates. You can put as low as 10% down, depending upon the community and HOA and all that jazz. It must make sense as a second home. So how do we make sense of a second home? You guys know this. How do we determine a second home? I'll quiz you.
It's 100 miles from the primary residence.
Yep. FHA. Mm-hmm. And otherwise you just have to have a good story.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and it can be, right? Like you could live in Parker or Castle Rock, right? In a home and then want a downtown place. And that's not 100 miles, but that can still make sense. And so there has to be a different usage with it. I asked our lender at the time, could we pretend this Marion property is a second home? Like in case I'm annoyed with my husband and he should go live there. And she's like, it's 1.5 miles from you. And it's the exact same size as the house you live in. I was like, so does it work? She's like, no, like doesn't work. But it's a good option. It's a good way to look outside of your market or within like a secondary, like an investment downtown or vice versa. And then that's when you can start looking outside too. If you intend to use it as a vacation home, right? The mountains here, but even like if I wanted to get a second home in my hometown, why? I would just pay cash. They're like very free there, but you know, you can make investments elsewhere if you intend to visit. It could be a second home for you, and that's a great option. And you can have, is it 9 second homes?
Yes.
I think it's 9 because you can only have 10 total conforming. Yeah, so you could have 9 second homes. There's no like occupancy requirement associated with second homes. Investor loans require the 25% down. There's other options, but you really pay for it in interest rates. It doesn't usually make sense if you're not going to that 25% down point and you're already paying a higher interest rate as investors. You can, however, count the appraised rent. So when the appraiser goes in to value the property, they will give it a rental rate, and that can count 75% of that counts towards your debt to income ratio, which can be beneficial too. So if you're buying a home and it doesn't make sense on paper for you to be able to afford both of them, you want to convert that into an investment property so that you can use that.
We have loan programs now too where you can purely qualify on the cash flow.
Yeah. Do you guys do the LLC loans too? It's like up to 50 in an LLC or something now. It's crazy. I haven't even like dug into that with her. I don't really want 50. It feels like a lot of work, but yeah, 50 units.
For like a loan for the LLC.
Yeah. Anything after that or anything more than 4 units is going to go into a commercial loan. It's a portfolio loan. We're going to direct you to a local bank. That's what's going to make most sense. And it doesn't get sold into the secondary. So the secondary is the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. When you hear that, so many different variations of experience. Love it. It's great. Oh, this was the first time I put this together or added it to this. It was, yeah. You get it. The biggest thing is you need your team. You can't go at anything in real estate alone, but especially not as an investor, and especially if you're going out of market, right? So super important. What? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You need to know, like, you don't have an insurance agent here. It's like, okay, who do you use? Who do you know, but you need that. One of the other interviews I did on the Real Investing Stories was with a colleague of mine who lives in Salt Lake, and her husband, she talks all about their approach, and she's so pragmatic and very numbers driven. She's one of my best friends in life and the industry, but they ended up investing in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because their goal was cash flow. And Fort Wayne has a transient community in that people come there for 2 to 3 years to work at the schools or the hospitals, and then they leave. And so they're looking for nice rentals, and they could cash flow. I think they're cash flowing more like 1,000, but anyways, you'll see the playlist of all those YouTube recordings. But that was the thing, is she just leveraged the local agent. She's like, I don't care, Brad, like, get me your lender, get me your insurance agent. And he just took it from there. And that's like the hyper local expertise. Like, I don't want to go to Fort Wayne and have to learn all these people, right? You have to trust one person who's going to introduce you to all of them. But then there you are, you're Mary J. Blige in the middle, looking the best, and then laying down on the stage. Okay. Wearing those thigh-high boots like a boss. What kind of real estate investor are you? So we put together this silly quiz, but in the end, it does. So if you guys want to pull it up and take it, it takes about 37 seconds. And it'll tell you what kind of real estate investor you are. And then we're going to go through kind of deciphering those types. So you can scan the QR code. Yes, honey, yeah. Right back there.
Down the hall to the right.
Yeah, down the hall to the right. I'm gonna sign above it now. Finally. Are you taking it? Have you taken it? Mm-hmm. The question. I wrote it, so if there's any typos, you know who to blame. It's me. Oh yeah. And then yell out your answer once you get it.
I'm a determined go-getter.
You are. That changed today. Today you're a determined go-getter.
Today, that's how I am.
That's who I am today.
I don't remember. I don't know what I was last time.
I think you were a team player last time.
Probably. I guess not today.
Everyone watch out. She's cutthroat now. Those of you at home, put it in the chat. What'd you get?
You're an amazing researcher, and you've got making big decisions down to logistical science.
What was the top say?
Investigator.
Yes.
Yeah. Determined go-getter. That's good.
Enthusiastic team player.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I mean, no rush. It's just exciting once you get the answers.
That was a fun little quiz.
It's silly, right? By the way, while we're breaking, can somebody come eat food? Yes, please, you guys.
I've been doing that.
Otherwise, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate you taking one for the team. Yes, go ahead. Here, take a plate.
Team player.
Enthusiastic team player. Okay.
Speaking of, I gotta go pick up my family. They just got out of this thing earlier than I expected.
Okay.
I want to give you my information.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I do want to continue the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Do you have my card? Here are my cards. I have one in my office. I'll go grab it for you.
thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
stay here.
No, I will. Thank you. Well, I come back regularly. That's why I'm actually
Oh.
here now. So
Where's your family live around?
they're over in Lakeland over there.
Where?
Lakeland, I think is where it is.
Lakewood?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way.
But they're spread out. There's I've got in-laws, so they're all
All over the place.
Right.
Well, at least you're getting to know Denver,
yeah.
which is good.
I've been coming here now for about 5 years, and I used to come here to ski when I was younger, but I
Nice.
didn't come back in a long time. And they all moved here, so
Marty's
My boss-
obviously an enthusiast.
the landscape grows. So
There you
thank you so
All
much.
right.
Where's your family?
All
We're
over.
just they're all over.
All
So
over.
you know, I got a brother-in-law over there, I got a sister-in-law over there, and mother-in-law over
Yeah.
there, so.
He's good. He knows Denver.
There you go.
Well, I'm learning.
Where
There you go.
learn about. I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Good luck, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
We have an ambitious goal setter on
Ooh,
Chat.
awesome.
and a couple investigators.
Oh. Did you get yours?
Oh, I did. I was a go-getter.
Okay.
I'm an investigator.
Okay, data driven.
I think so. Yeah.
It makes
Can I
sense.
have to use the bathroom?
No, go ahead. I think he might be in there,
Oh shoot.
right?
Okay. I'll just wait.
There's one downstairs. There's like a, yeah, we have them on every
Oh,
floor.
yeah.
Yeah, go for it. We have them on every floor.
Does anyone have a 5-volt charger? by chance on it?
I actually do. Yeah.
I just need to plug it in really fast.
Yeah, you're good. My phone is back there.
I rode with him and I didn't even have. So.
It's okay.
I always have to-
She'll grab it for
You
you.
got it.
Sweet, thank you.
We'll wait till people get back from their bathroom break. We eat something.
Not very. Cool.
Oh my gosh.
I know I'm a big dude and I usually eat all the time, but not right now.
What'd you get? No, that's really good. That's a nice combo. Sure. Thanks. Yeah. Wait till you see the rooftop.
Really? You got
Yeah,
it?
we'll take you guys up afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a rooftop and a view of the city.
Views.
That is cool.
Hopefully everyone at home is watching Wheel of Fortune and winning. Are you gonna go to book club later? I know. Did you finish the book?
No.
At least you started it.
So did you guys ever have clients work in Arizona at all? Living in Arizona?
Some,
Some?
Arizona's a sand state. It got hit real hard. And now it's appreciating again real fast.
Yeah, that's
What's been your experience there? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually, I started my career in mortgages in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Cool.
Up in the mountains. So
Yeah.
I actually owned 2 properties at one time in Flagstaff. So like 20 miles away.
Why did you sell?
To invest here.
Yeah.
So, and we wanted to move. And
Oh, right. You
we
own
were
it.
young,
Yeah.
you know, like, cause I bought, same as you, I bought my first house at 22. And I was on a couple new build contracts, like actually having custom home built.
Nice.
And then I decided not to go that route because I was getting a little back and forth with some contractors.
Yeah.
So I got out of it, bought an existing primary, and then lived in it for a year, and then rented it out, and then bought another.
You've done this.
Yeah.
It's like old hat.
Yeah.
So when did you own there?
So I bought my first house back in 2000, end of 2017.
Okay.
2018. And then I bought another house in 2020.
Okay.
And then sold that house and
Wow, you got,
sold actually both properties.
Okay.
So
Did you have to pay cap gains on either, or were you able to do the 2 of the last 5?
So what happened is I was on my first one
Yeah.
because I sold one in 2020.
Yeah.
And then I have a really good tax lady that I met here through one of my referral partners.
Yep.
And so she got me the hookup. So
Good. You had to move
we were
forward.
able to sort of
Recoup some of that. Yeah.
find some hoops. So.
Tax
Not
professionals.
hoops, but you know.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
have your
Leverage the tax code.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep. We have bubble waters in
I'm a
here
big
too,
fan
guys.
of the living it for you idea.
Yeah. And move as long as you can hold it, right? There's bubble waters. 2 and soda. There's 18 right here. I love this. We have to party. What? All right, guys, I'm gonna get started just because there's people at home too, and we'll get through it. But what kind of investor are you? I mean, these are like 4 generalizations, right? But it can help you know kind of like what your strengths, opportunities is our nice way of saying weaknesses, right? And then what route may be best for you. So your strengths are that, if you're determined to go getter, the first, we talk about Serena Williams, right? Like it doesn't matter what I have to do to win, I will win, right? And so determined go getter has their eye on the prize and they're going to go for it. Y'all can read for yourselves, but a big thing there is that they're very decisive and they don't look back. And that is a strength, but also, right, the other side of that is a weakness. So the opportunity there is to focus on collaboration, ask more questions, listen more, second guess yourself at times to give yourself a little time to do a little more research. And then, breathe, like pause before you make big decisions. Maybe consult with an investigator. I think I'm really funny with the investigator thing. Can you tell? So determined go-getter might buy the multifamily, live in one, and they're going to be really pragmatic with their approach. They don't care what the aesthetic of the home is. They're going to just do what they need to do, build the equity they need to move on, upgrade the primary, maybe get a vacation home, and then leverage that equity to just buy enough units to retire, right? Or to live off of. Work optional is another term a lot of us like to use. The ambitious goal setter, they are going to have so much excitement, but not necessarily know exactly how to execute that, right? So they dream big, they create a lot of vision boards, they know exactly what they want it to look like, right? So they're more aesthetic. They want to know that this is what I feel. There's no dreams too big. They're on vacation, they're taking selfies, lots of them, like they're living the life, right? But you got to be careful because sometimes that enthusiasm can lead to decision paralysis, right? So you want to stay organized, make sure you're collaborating with someone who's going to help you pull the trigger on something. Focus on your reality versus the image or the dreams. So this person may buy a home and rent out rooms while they travel the country, right? And then maybe they buy second homes and short-term rentals everywhere else because for them, it's all about the experience. That's awesome. I wish I was a little bit more of a dreamer, right? Enthusiastic team player, which I know we have. I'm one. That's what I test as. I wrote it. So it's kind of weird. You did once. What were you? Oh, yeah. And you're my investigator. Investigator, go getter. Investigator. Go getter. Okay. So yeah, enthusiasm's our thing, right? Like we're a team player. We want to make sure that we're lifting everyone up with us, right? So we want to get people involved. We want to tell everyone about it. We want to persuade them with our ideas. We want them to think that this is a good idea for them too. Here I sit, right? So you attract people you want to work with, that want to work with you. The big thing is, you know, the opportunity there is you're gonna need to make sure that you've got the follow through. So you're gonna need to partner with somebody that's gonna make sure that they take care of those rental properties you've just invested in, because you've already gone on to help the next person do the same thing, right? Codependency can be a challenge too, in that you wanna make sure other people are doing it and happy in their own situation. And then imposter syndrome, there's the typo. I was like, I knew there was a typo in this, I couldn't find it. Second guessing, like, can I really be doing this? Or am I just so excited about it that I've convinced myself of it? And then obviously they can get a little bit too, and I can get a little bit too, like, I want to take care of my clients. I don't necessarily take care of myself too. So something to keep in mind. They buy their first home, they can leverage that equity or sell it and turn it into multiple rentals. Maybe they as an enthusiastic team player, they're partnering up with others to make those rental investments happen. And then, you know, the vacation home, family memories. Again, this kind of reflects my own personal journey. The Live Laugh Investigator, we have we have Caitlin, but then we also have a very strong investigator on our team, Amanda Campbell, who I don't even know if she's online today, but she will run the numbers on any rental. Like it's like hits a dopamine for her. Like she loves it. And I'm like, I gotta open a spreadsheet. I gotta put in the numbers. Like, it's just not like, I'm like, it feels good, right? Like it's a good, it's a house. It's been around for 100 years. It'll be around for 100 more. It's in an area that people are going to want to be in. Perfect. Let's buy it. Like that's been my gut on all the things, right? She will run the numbers on it. And having that juxtaposition for me, and she's a licensed agent, has been huge because she's really helpful for our investigator type clients that really want to see those numbers and do that deep dive in the data. Thorough researcher, what she would tell you is, it makes it hard to pull to make the move, right? Makes it hard to make the decision because you're looking for everything to line up perfectly. So again, collaboration is probably the theme here, right? Like it's important to have some opposites with your people, right? Like talking with like-minded people who are like, we have similar goals, we have different ways of getting there. So partnering with someone who's going to be a little more decisive and help you get that kick in the pants you need to actually make the offer. So she analyzed about, I don't know, I bet she analyzed, what'd she say, like 100 properties before she bought this duplex? She didn't tour them all, but she would run she runs the numbers on, I bet 10 properties a day. It's crazy. I know. Yeah. So that investigator is going to just take a little, they're going to be really strategic. And then they're going to finally live in a house that they really like, right? And then they're going to be able to buy these other properties. So it's going to be extremely strategic. They're going to know their numbers, right? I'm the type that's like, this feels right. It feels good. It's going to cash flow, or at least it's going to be positive. That's all we need. We're good to go. So it's good to have that mix. I think you guys saw the theme in the quiz there. I like lady music. So I do love the Carter's album. I listen to it on repeat. I do listen to it on repeat when I work a lot. But my favorite quote from it is that we measure success by how many people are successful next to you. And I think that is what Live, Laugh, Invest is all about, is how do we get more people in the game to be making investments and also be like really good, awesome, fair human landlords. So, and then, more Beyonce quotes for you guys. I know you got it. You got the hair for it. Can you do it?
Do it for everyone. Come on, everyone wants to see it.
You nailed it. That's awesome. So a week from now, we teach what'd you say?
That would hurt my neck.
Oh my gosh. Literally, I think the last time I tried to hair flip was with my hairdresser, and she has long hair like me. This was in 2009. That was the last time she said to go left, I went right. We conked our heads. We were at a Christmas party. I was drinking. It was so stupid. And so every time I see that, I just think of like the conk, right? That does not feel good. A week from tonight, we teach how to buy a house, home ownership, not if, but when. We changed the name of that class. Not if, but when, but it talks about, I'd love to have you guys here for it. Anyone who wants to come? You don't own your home yet, right?
Whoa, I'm sorry.
You don't own a home yet, right?
Not yet.
You wholesale and kind of
dabbled around.
Dabble with it?
Just on the side, but I mean, we had this like mixed use like property in LA. It was like this Hispanic like church, but like I guess like it was like weird. I guess I found out later that it was when the moratorium, or however you pronounce it, was going on. So like we didn't want to get the
Moratorium, yes.
Yeah, the moratorium.
Yep.
The tenants just like weren't gonna move. So
yeah.
It was just like it was a decade.
So you sold it.
But it could have been great. But it didn't work out. So
yeah.
But,
get that. Yeah, we dealt with that. It's tough. A lot of cities stepped up and offset it, but yeah. Well, next week we will teach the homeownership, not if, but when and how. So it is not if, but when and how. Yes. Caitlin's coming. She'll be here learning. But yeah, we'd love for you guys to join. Love for you guys to join online. Tell your friends. We are all about education here, as I've mentioned. But yeah, if you have any questions, we're here to answer them. If there's any questions in the chat, let us know. That's all I got tonight. Oh, you do not need to clap. That's fine. 10 till. Good. Beyonce will shake her head all night for us. You're welcome. I know. I can't. Oh God. Chiropractor.